exploration, scary, a little bit of 4 and 5's action. But very well done. I was very impressed. Very impressed. It definitely, I felt right at home due to the fact that I played my exposure playing Resident Evil through Nemesis on a PSP. So I was like, oh, I'm already ready for this. Handheld Resident Evil game, let's go. Let's go. I remember I would hang out with friends. We would go to like the beach or just hang out or just drive around cruising or go to bars, bar hopping, and I would literally be playing Resident Evil. I was like invested. I was like, I took that thing seriously. I was like, I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna do some stuff. I gotta see this through. It's definitely a good game. I would say if you have the chance to look into it, definitely give it a shot. It's very fun. You play as, I'd say 90% of the game as Jill. There's like 5% you play as Chris. Or maybe it's like 50-50. I'm a little, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I played Revelations. I might play it again on stream. Sometime. Just because I do want to go back and do that. Revelations 2. But again, I've played a little bit. Haven't beat it yet. So I don't want to pass judgment, give a ranking for these two, but I have beaten Revelations and I liked it a lot. For a handheld Nintendo Resident Evil game, it's very good. A lot of fun. Story good. Gameplay very good. Again, if you can play it, definitely pick up either, you know, PS4, Xbox. I think it's also on PC. I think all of these are on PC. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I think I am sure, but it's good. Definitely play with the console version. Unless you happen to have a 3DS and you can find like for $5 or something, but it's good. No matter where you play it, it's good. But it was the return. Again, another adventure with Jill Valentine. OG Resident Evil waifu. I've always been a big fan of her. So, yeah. I think this is my tier list. I think, since obviously RE3 Remake isn't here yet, I'm still in the middle of playing it. But with my initial impressions, having just beat RE3 Remake, I think if I had to put it in one of the tiers now, I would probably put Remake, Resident Evil 3, Raccoon City. I would probably keep it A. Maybe after I do stuff and spend a little bit more time, play Resistance, the Resistance mode, there's a chance I could bump it up. But I think right now it's an A. It's still stupidly fun. Like, that was for 12, and I think that was my clear time, almost 12 hours. It was a lot of fun. Definitely shorter, but again, that's coming off of like Resident Evil 2, and I've been playing Resident Evil games, so I've been like better than I would after all of these games. There's usually a hiatus. Resident Evil 3 came out almost exactly a year to Resident Evil 2's release. I think this was January or February. That was about a month or two off. But we got 2 Resident Evil games back to back. And people were saying as soon as they beat Resident Evil 2, I'm ready for Resident Evil 3 Remake. Then it was good. Very well done. Well, I haven't even played it on the hardest difficulty yet, so I definitely have to go back and do that. I think of the Resident Evil games I played on the hardest difficulty would be 5, 6, 7, Resident Evil. I think there was a difficulty in Revelations 4, 2, and once I get done with Nightmare, and whatever's after Nightmare, because it looks like there's something after Nightmare difficulty, I'll play it on that too. Uh, I think I'd put Resident Evil 3 right now, after just having beaten it, I'd put it at A for sure. I feel like it was definitely more action, less the exploration and the horror, which is what I think I really enjoy, which is why I like the remake of 2 and 2 so much, and the kind of like the original Resident Evil and remake. And not to mention 4, although 4 really isn't too scary. It's more like eerie. There's certain times it can get scary, but it's like, it's more like it keeps you on edge. Not really full like but it's still good. I'd put it at A. I think like we were talking about before, it's kind of like the yin and yang. RE3 is a little more action, very little horror. RE2 remake, more the exploration and horror, very little action. But they complement each other so much. Like, after playing RE3 and continuing to speedrun 2, I'd like, this game makes me want to play 3, and 3 makes me want to go back and play 2. That's like the only way I can think to describe it. They complement each other so much. They're like, one makes me want to play the other. And I think it would be, if I could master Class 3, I think it would be pretty damn cool to do 2 and 3 back to back, and like maybe like a 5 or 6 hour stream. Hardest difficulty, of course. But that's after I master class it. It definitely, I have like the Resident Evil, the same way I wanted to do, learn everything I can, get good, is the same way I'm immediately feeling about 3. Again, it isn't, it's a little bit shorter, but I think that's by design. I remember 3 being, I beat 3 a lot quicker than I beat 2. There's only one campaign. Very little exploration. There is a little bit in the beginning, but not too much. Once you get out of Raccoon City and you get to, I'd say past the second Nemesis fight, it's more, actually, in the beginning and after you fight the second Nemesis fight and you switch to Carlos, it goes, those are the only 2 portions of the game where it's a little bit, there's a horror vibe and exploration. Otherwise it's kind of action non-stop. Explosions. I do have to say that the opening to RE3 remake, top notch. That thing set the bar. It set the tone real quick. I was like, alright, I know what I'm getting myself strapped into. And it was going to be a damn good time. But like I said, I still haven't played through on the hardest difficulty, so I gotta go do that. I have to play the Resistance mode. Probably gonna check that out Friday for a little bit. See how that's doing. It was fun when I did the beta. We'll see how things end up. I've been hearing a little bit of issues. People are having issues with connections and stuff, but we'll see. I think a lot of people are playing Resident Evil 3 just for the story and kind of giving the multiplayer, like, leaving it as an afterthought. Like, that's cool, maybe I'll try it out. That's kind of like the vibe I've been getting from people talking about it online, but again, it's part of the game. It's a separate game, actually, but you get it bundled with 3, so technically you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. 47.6 thousand. Dang. But yeah, the set pieces, the story, again, it's like I feel like they seen RE3 remake after playing RE2 remake. Again, I felt like they pushed the RE engine even further beyond what it was capable of. Like, if this is going to be the last Resident Evil for this console generation, then set all the what's that that Spinal Tap quote? The numbers all go. No, what is it? It's like, you imagine you're on stage, you're playing, you're at 10, you have nowhere left to go. Oh, what's that? 11. they put all the dials to 11. So they kicked it up a notch. One more extra notch. These games definitely set the bar for future games. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, Muglord. I'm telling you, man, Capcom's kind of been like... I've heard the term Cap God. They are in a new renaissance. Like so many people are getting reintroduced or introduced to Resident Evil games. And like I know people that played this and have since gone back to play the original. They were like, is the original anything like that? Or like, how did these games originally what's the game you played? So I know it's like the fighting game's decision is yeah. I know. They're not firing on all cylinders, but they're very damn close. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like they're kind of waiting. We'll see Street Fighter 6, maybe another Marvel vs. Capcom, maybe some kind of Capcom vs. SNK. We don't know, but I think they're waiting for the next console generation. Like I think this is their last big game before they start doing something for Xbox Series X and PS5. Yeah, Capcom versus anything, to be honest. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think if Resident Evil 3 Remake is the last Capcom game for this generation, they're going out on a high note. Like the 1-2 punch of RE2 Remake and then almost a year later RE3, that's pretty stupid impressive. I think, like I said, after people beat RE2, they were like, alright, I'm ready for 3. Remake 3, give it to us, we demand, you do it, it's the law, if you want my money, you'll remake 3. And then people were like, pretty much everyone was like, after 2 came out, like the weekend or 2, everyone's like, I'm ready for 3, where's 3? And then when we got the announcement, the leak, and then we got the confirmation Christmas, and then it was coming out in like 3 months. We're like, oh, not only is it real, but it comes out in like 3 months. Monster Hunter's getting a new update, I think, May or June. I've been thinking about getting it. Looks fun. Oh yeah, Monster Hunter's pretty fun. You should try it out. I gotta go back. I beat it last year. Pull a Sakurai on him. Yep. Yeah, it's oh man, I don't know. They've, like I said, Capcom, they've really turned things around. The Resident Evil titles recently, the ones that have been released, have all been very well received, and have been selling well. I don't think not quite the gangbusters that's 5 and 6, but still very respectable. Especially for an audience where a lot of people say that horror games are kind of dead. They're not really, you make a horror game, you're just like, you're asking for low expectations, low sales, low replay value. There's, you know, a bunch of the stereotypical, I guess naysaying, but I enjoy them. I've always enjoyed them. It took me a while to like really fully grasp and enjoy the entire series, but it's kind of funny. I'm almost going looped from the way they've released things to the way I've been playing them. It's like I really, really appreciate and I value Resident Evil. Like I think it was after right before I got to 4, I was like, all right, this is I see why people have like tattoos, why there's novels, why people like read the lore, have the knowledge. It's like I understand. I understand now. But yeah, it's Resident Evil 3 is a hell of a game. Definitely A for sure. We'll see. I'm gonna play it a little bit more, but if I had to put it somewhere right now, easily A tier. Campaign is short and sweet, action packed, very fun. I can't tell you how many times I try to do the dodge going back and practicing or playing Resident Evil 2. I'm like, oh crap, I don't have a dodge, and I get chomped on by a zombie. Doing the dodge is so much fun. The Resident Evil 3 bosses, which is, I really think just Nemesis, although there was that one fun room Cannibal Queen! Hey, hey, hey! What did I miss? Everything. Oh. Yeah. I beat the game, Cannibal Queen, and I was doing my... You missed my... You missed the finale? Although I'm not done yet, I'm going to be doing another playthrough on an even harder difficulty that I just unlocked, so... You still have a chance to see me play through it. Sorry. Oh no, you're good, Cannibal Queen. You're good. Like I said, I'm going to be playing it again on the true hardest difficulty. And then, because I looked at the shop, when I beat that, there's an even truer hardest difficulty. So it'll take me at least one more playthrough before I play it on the truest of difficulties, the hardest of hards. Hardcore mode evolved to nightmare mode. And then whatever is locked behind nightmare mode, because it looks like there's something behind nightmare. So this was a good crash course for the next difficulty, which is gonna really push me, because I did not play this optimal, and I've already, like, as I've been playing it, in the back of my mind I'm like, all right, keep note of where this guy is. Although that's not gonna help me too much, because nightmare mode remixes the game. Items and enemies aren't where they were in the previous difficulties, so I'll be prepared, but it'll be fresh, kind of. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, this is my tier list, Cannibal Queen, of all the Resident Evil games I've played all the way through. I have Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 2 Remake, S tier. I don't have an icon for 3, but I'm gonna, if I had to put 3, I'd put 3 at A. I don't think it's... I haven't played it nearly enough, but initially I don't think it's S tier. Now after I pour dozens of hours into it, play the Resistance game mode, do a bunch of other stuff, unlock everything, maybe I'll change my mind, but I think it's A. And I think that's pretty fair. It looks to be another speedrunner's paradise. An even harder difficulty, so the challenge is there. Fun multiplayer. I gotta deep dive. This was the appetizer. The trial course. I'm just lucky. Final Fantasy VII is... I'm not gonna be playing it right away. Because of reasons. Because of Corona, so... I can deep dive. Spend a little bit more time and really savor Resident Evil 3, like I did for Resident Evil 2. That was kind of my fear, was that I was gonna rush through this game and not savor it. And now that I know I'm gonna get the chance to savor it, I'm like, okay, this is good. But yeah, that's my tier list. Resident Evil 4 and 2 Remake, S tier. Resident Evil 2, 3 Nemesis, 5 Co-op. Resident Evil 7 in VR, remake of Resident Evil, all A tier. B tier, the original Resident Evil. It's still iconic and paved the way, but looking back at it now, especially compared to the remake, B. 6, with co-op, it's a B. Without it, C. Revelations, I think the second... I think they've ported Resident Evil for the DS, but this is like a standalone, like it was made exclusively for handhelds. I put that in B tier. It's very good. Not quite A, but it's still a good time. And then Resident Evil 0 as a C. Again, not a god-awful game, like unplayable, unbearable. It's a little tedious and it kind of stresses me out with the item management, but it's still fun. I've played it a few times, so I like it enough. And I haven't beaten Code Veronica or Revelations 2. But when I do, maybe these and that will be on stream sometime. Bonus Resident Evil episodes or something. Maybe Capcom will remake Code Veronica. Because I know, I can tell you already, the fan bases, they want this game. What they did for 2 and 3 remake, they want to do for this game. But we'll see. Like I said, rumor is Capcom is going to release Resident Evil 8 next year. And we don't...